Good evening, everybody. I'm Robert, and this is Stefan. So, the internet has been abuzz with a lot of different theories, conspiracy theories, facts, and not so much facts surrounding the eclipse that's actually coming on the 8th, which is tomorrow. Today is the 7th of April, 2024. We've made a list of all the different theories that we've been hearing, some of the signs and sources, and we're going to kind of go through those a little bit briefly.
All right, so here you can see our first slide. And what we've done is we've broken it down to the most common conspiracy theory or like scenario on the left column here. In the middle, we've essentially got signs or sources of who is talking about it or who's reacting to this expectation. And then after this is over with, we're going to go into did it happen, did it not happen? And then if there's any alibis, why there is going to be a delay for a response. And that latter half we're going to discuss in a couple of days from now after the eclipse itself is over with. But as you can see there, a violent terrorism type situation. The deployment of the military is explained by other reasons, but we suspect from intelligence that has been given to numerous sites out there that that's one of the main reasons for the deployment of the military, because there's some argument over if it was done to the extent as it was done during the last eclipse. And I'm not seeing quite the same comparison there. All right. Of course, a lot of people are expecting a biological event. Maybe folks taking advantage of the large crowds and getting infections going in multiple places. We've seen some specifics on that. But again, we have to wait and see. Next up is accidents. Guarantee there's going to be accidents, but are they going to be bigger accidents that might warrant a closer look? Riots, people just taking advantage for whatever reason. Human sacrifice, a cult, that's even been admitted to by some of the occult organizations. That we've got mass suicides that we can expect. Heaven's Gate would be one example during the comet that went by a while back. I forgot the name of that comet, but it was referred to as Heaven's Gate. Mass psychosis was one theory that was put up there, and that was theoretically based on some historical situations that had occurred in the past. Whenever you had a comet and a eclipse, then go into a CERN. Obviously, CERN's running their portal on the 8th. Take advantage of the eclipse because there's going to be some different physics changes that are going to be taking place with, say, gravity and a few other factors. And so they're going to be measuring that with CERN and with some other equipment that's airborne and some satellites to see what that effect is. Next up, there's a lot of folks that are talking about a Christian rapture, the coming of the Lord, if you're a Christian, and that's coming from multiple sites. Extreme weather, that's coming from the government, and that's corroborated with the deployment of the military by the governors of states. We've got the New Madrid earthquake. That's another really big one that people keep talking about. Next is the craziest one I've seen personally is that whole zone ends up, all the ground collapses and it becomes a river. And we were told to get the expletive out of that area. Poison dust from the comet. Oddly enough, this has happened before. I'm not going to get into that. If it does become a thing, then I will get into it. Next up, shortages. They are expecting shortages in like food supplies, gas, things like that. That could be a concern. Cell phone grid collapse, power grid collapse, all valid concerns. I mean, it didn't really happen last time, so I'm kind of having a hard time understanding why it would happen this time. But it's there, it's on the table, and everybody's warning about it. So somebody's probably going to make sure it happens somewhere. Next up, there's been a lot of what we'd call predictive programming type movies that are out there. One of the two biggest ones is the Civil War movie that's coming out in April, and the one that we just had put out by Netflix called Leave the World Behind. And there's been some interesting parallels in the Leave the World Behind video in reference to the boat in Baltimore incident. Another big one for the theologians is 3 days of darkness. From a Christian standpoint, I don't see that happening. In fact, I've been told that the days of darkness is going to be 37 days of darkness at a different time for a different reason. Finally, I think everybody's aware of cicada bird 13 and 17 are coming out at the same time, they're the areas where they hatch at is generally going to follow the arc of the eclipse. Some folks seem to think that the bulk of the cicadas are going to come out at the X, which I believe is near Carbondale, Illinois. We'll look further into that to see just how valid it really is. Do I expect to see something across the arc? Very specifically, not exactly, maybe a little bit denser, but I'm not expecting everything to be in the arc. And finally, there's 3 rockets that are being launched by NASA. I believe the reference to this is Apollo or Apollyon or something like that, which is also, I believe, another name for Satan, according to some of the religious conspiracy theorists. And that would be a occultic practice in defiance of God from their perspective. The fact that the 3 rockets are being launched, according to the NASA website, is on the basis of science, and there may be some a conjunction with the CERN doing their testing. So why is this a concern? Why does there seem to be so much talk about it? One, it appears that the media is hyping up this business like it's not, like it's crazy. I think a lot of that is because they want to be the first, whether it's alternative media or mainstream media, they want to be the first to be able to lay claim to that they reported this. Oddly enough, a lot of these people aren't saying that they're the ones saying it's going to happen. They're referencing somebody else as saying that this event is going to happen. But you could bet later on, if it happens, then they're going to be laying claim to it. So for example, and we'll see this later on. All right, so Young Turks was making fun of Alex Jones for saying that he was saying a bunch of conspiracies, but I think he was really only focused on one. Then we've got particular programming taking place. This may go in line with the movies the one that just came out and the one that's coming out. And that would be on par with the globalist agenda. Then we're looking at this as potentially a cover for another event, such as a coming global war. A lot of folks are convinced we're leading right into World War III. And just the fact that a lot of people, more than usual, are concerned about all the crazy things going on in the world over the past couple of years since the CV issue started. There's that drumbeat of fear and uncertainty that's driving a lot of people and the way they're acting lately. And finally, we are in what I believe to be a political civil war based on the actions of the left and right, not just in America, but globally, and that this could serve as a distraction for them to do whatever it is that they're doing behind the scenes. So for those of you from religious bent, understand with rapture, Matthew 24:36 is an important thing. Remember, nobody knows about the day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but my Father only. I think that's pretty much almost identical word for word across most versions of the Bible. A key thing here is, as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. All right, next slide. So there are sources that we're getting a lot of this information from. We're not digging it out of our own butts. We are pulling it from a number of sites, and kind of what they're talking about in this particular slide, and then the source, and then the next slides. Again, a source. We're just hitting the sources up and maybe a little bit about what they're addressing in that source. One more slide. And then another slide. And I think that's the last slide. So you can see we do have a lot of sources that we're referring to. There's a ton more. There's no need to put them up, though. You could dig up 5 million yourself if you wanted to. But it's there, and we'll see what happens. And we'll start to see who's right and who's wrong and who's making stuff up. So that's it for tonight. If Bob, if you've got anything to add before we call this video a night.
That's all I got.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, we'll find out probably over the next 24 hours exactly what's going to happen, and then we'll follow up.
All right, God bless you all. We'll see you in a couple days.